This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability, criminal prosecution, and the wrath of the tall man.
Boy!
Hey, let's talk about you, the ID10T community events at ID10T.com, like Russ Stevens, a.k.a.
Cat Bus Russ,
who has started a podcast called 90 for Chill, which Russ says is dedicated to movies with a runtime between 74 and 99 minutes, the time frame that I feel is ideal. Russ, I could not agree with you more. That is a fantastic idea. Russ goes on to say there are times you need a cinematic fix but don't have time for the latest Scorsese masterpiece or offering from a comic book universe. There's also times when you need a conclusion to prevent a binge costing you a whole night. My guests and I try to follow these guidelines as we chat up features that are definitely worth your time and are beyond easy to make time for. 90 for Chill, the podcast, can be found on all major podcast platforms at 90forchill.com, and that's spelling out 90, Ninety, 4 FOR, chill. So there you go. Thank you so much for sharing, Russ. Really great idea for a podcast. Events at ID10T.com for everyone else.
From the studio that remembered cartoons are allowed to look good, and the streamer who gave up on quality once Red Notice topped the charts, comes a film that feels like it was made by an AI trained on bratty little sisters.
Hello, and thank you for checking out this episode of I Dig Crazy Flicks with Cat Bus Russ. I'm your host, Cat Bus Russ. This week, my older sister came through in a pinch. I had a planned podcast that fell through, and I hope everything's going to be working out fine for the other party involved. I don't want to dive in too deep when you get a cancellation. Life happens. At least the topic came from a conversation the Poetic Critic and I were having about K-pop Demon Hunters entering the Criterion collection. I don't appreciate that. You can say, well, Armageddon and The Rock are in there, but hey, those are kind of Michael Bay's best movies, I think most people would consider, or at least the definition of Bayhem. So maybe that deserves a bit of recognition in terms of time capsule and what have you. I don't think K-pop Demon Hunters does anything for documenting the time, and the idea that my older sister suggests that it might win the Best Academy Award for Animated Feature kind of disturbs me, especially after I really am kind of up for hoppers. Give me some dancing chickens and Alan Tudyk, and I think my animation horizons may have been increased. But it's an argument about physical media's importance as well, and I do think it's important, but K-pop Demon Hunters being close to Kagemusha when you're at Barnes & Noble's trying to find Criterion movies, that just doesn't seem right. So that's going to be the conversation this week as we warm up for B-Fest. Looks like a great lineup. I should have really pressed my older sister on she's big in the community of the B-Fest, so she had a pretty good idea of what the lineup might be, and I do know what the lineup is, and hey, you can't be mad at Demons from Lamberto Bava getting in there. Kind of makes me wish I'd go and watch this Kino Lorber disc I bought, Body Puzzle, directed by Bava, instead, but you know what? We're talking cartoons for the most part, so I decided to watch Fantastic Planet from 1973, a French-Czechoslovakian collaboration, a special achievement at Cannes. I wish they had a better trailer for it, but you know how things go when it comes to translation and what have you. It's definitely one you really need to see to fully appreciate. And honestly, this movie came to my attention back when I was going to Drunken Zombie double features, and as a raffle prize I got a disc full of trailers, more grindhousey. We're talking stuff like Fight for Your Life with William Sanderson, some weird Meg Foster movies, and other grindhouse style things, but then you get a weird trailer for Fantastic Planet. That is the conversation. Well, my sister and I aren't going to talk about Fantastic Planet. The two of us are going to discuss whether or not K-pop Demon Hunters belongs as one of the few animated features in the Criterion collection alongside Fantastic Planet and I guess the Fantastic Mr. Fox. And I think I might mention that Indian Paintbrush might be getting a little too much influence since they also have the other Wes Anderson animated feature, Isle of Dog, in the collection as well. But I digress. I've been doing my best to not try to get everything done in a single take on my intros, so I have played back a bunch of the audio already. With that said, I just want to let you know that the DVD I picked up at that Drunken Zombie double feature back in the day was Steven Romano's Presents Shock Festival. That's got 3 hours worth of trailers on them. So, hey, good thing to put on as background visuals at a party, I suppose. And because of how I've been composing my thoughts and then pressing the pause button to make sure I get it right, I just want to say that I'll throw the Fantastic Planet trailer at the end of this episode because my podcast recorder ended up running out of batteries and we were doing it at my sister's place. So it's going to end abruptly, so I think it's just nice to throw a nice little review at the end of it just to leave on a high note. Not to say that I'm giving away what I thought of Fantastic Planet. Thanks for checking out I Dig Crazy Flicks. Hopefully I'll see a bunch of you at B-Fest this weekend at Northwestern, and enjoy the show.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
After a 10-hour workday, it's about 11 p.m. when I finally get around to finalizing my podcast and uploading it to the internet. So I definitely need a lot of energy, but I don't need all that caffeine, so I rely on Dubby Jitterless Energy Blend. It's a coffee fruit extract, so you get about as much caffeine as a cup of coffee, but you get all the vitamins you could possibly wish for and all the energy, and about half the price. If you spend $4 a shift on energy drinks, you're spending $80 on sugar per month. Why don't you cut that in half and try Dubby Energy Blend? And if you go and visit Dubby.gg and use the promo code CatBusRuss at checkout, you're going to save yourself 10%. So on top of spending half the money, you can at least go and get one over on the tax man. So that's Dubby.gg, promo code CatBusRuss, and start feeling energized today.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll. Bring the noise.
Hello and welcome to I Dig Crazy Flicks presents 90 for Chill, the podcast. In this case, since we're going to be discussing, I think, a few animations that are definitely under 100 minutes. So with that said, this is CatBusRuss, and of course I'm joined by the big sister, the poetic critic, so I guess this would be considered her birthday gift to me as I enter my late 40s officially. By the time this podcast is released, she's doing me a favor, coming in a pinch as always. So how are we doing, the poetic critic?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, it's good to know. So, the big thing, the sad thing is we did not get you all of the excitement of our arguments over Wish on audio. But, hey, there's new animated controversy out there, and that, it's not necessarily a controversy. I don't really see a problem with it necessarily. I just don't want to think that deep into it. But, the internet, what can I say? So, if you go back to the reissue of the Big Trouble in Little China episode, where you can sign up for my Patreon and just get access to the review to begin with, I discussed my meh reaction to K-pop Demon Hunters. I love the Derpy Cat. I love the Magpie. But now I just can't stand it when you go to every comic convention, or at least I would say I didn't really know what it was when I was at the Galaxy Cons at the end of the year. But I definitely knew what it was by the time I was at Fan Expo New Orleans, and they're just throwing that soundtrack on there the entire time. So, I got a story about the UI Con where I'm hanging out with Allie from Allie's Accessory Shop on Etsy, and I was just saying, oh, it's great to be at I don't like the fact that UICon advertises itself as a Comic Con and an anime con. But I do appreciate hearing nothing but anime theme songs essentially over the PAs. But then I brought that up to Allie. Then I walked by the karaoke room, and I've told this story to our niece, who is a big fan of the movie, K-pop Demon Hunters. I walk by the karaoke room, and then I hear, "We're going up, up, up," and then little Charlotte can go and just finish the lyrics from there. So you can't escape this, and now it's infecting the Criterion collection. I think that's my big problem, is that you can't escape this thing. Let it go. Okay, no, don't let it go, because then we're getting into frozen territory. The point of the matter is, my thing is, it's great that it's getting a physical media release. I understand that Netflix has been doing this through Criterion, say, I would imagine Roma, Del Toro's...
When they were doing Roma and they were doing The Irishman.
Del Toro's Pinocchio.
From time to time. They definitely don't do every movie Netflix does.
Right.
We're not going to get an Electric State disc anytime soon.
Well, I mean... Yeah, I don't think the Russos are ever going to make Criterion. Sorry, fans of the Infinity Wars saga. Despite, they did a great job with Captain. I will give them that. I mean, the Cap movies, I think, are the only ones that, you can skip Thor, The Dark World, no offense to Christopher Eccleston. Mm-hmm. You're pretty much caught up by the time you get to Ragnarok. And do you really need to watch Thor by that token? Because when I first saw the Avengers, I had not seen anything except the Iron Man movies. And you don't really need to see Iron Man 2, in my opinion. I mean, it's great that Wonder Man is getting a lot of great press, at least from the nerd community, i.e. Paul Scheer and Jason Mantzoukas from How Did This Get Made? And at least that brought Joey Pants into the MCU. So I just don't... It's great, again, K-pop Demon Hunters getting a physical release, but just to associate it with such a great line and a streaming channel that it will never air on.
Well, no, it's the same with any of the other Netflix films they've handled.
But that's the fun of Criterion, is that, we put a stamp on it, we're going to show it to you at some point.
Sometimes they can't do that.
Yeah. Well, so I just say, if it's just I would be for the Blu-ray if we get, there you go. Sell it to me this way. Just get Ben Affleck to watch it with his kids. I'm sure they're probably too old for this movie now, but, and let him get drunk. I'm sorry for your sobriety, and have the same fun that we had with Armageddon.
Well, the whole reason Armageddon got into the collection along with The Rock was a comment from Noel Thingvall.
Yes.
Was that it had to do with a rough deal they had to handle with Touchstone at the time when Disney was licensing stuff to them.
No, I would imagine they were getting a lot of their...
Like in the late days of Laserdisc, especially.
Well, and I would think they'd be getting a lot of their Miramax stuff as well at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so... Weird deals. I mean, hey, it gave us Chasing Amy on Criterion, so Kevin Smith is there, man. But I guess we just can't go in, as I was telling you, this is Kino Lorber or Arrow territory. I'd say more Kino Lorber, but and again, since it's not going to be on streaming services, and again, how many kids today, I think they say only about 48% of the population have a physical media player now.
Well, the numbers could start going back up. There is a rising interest in physical media again, as streaming is so unpredictable and unreliable and expensive. There's been a rise in interest in used DVD shops.
That's true.
Mega Replay does.
Disc Replay in Champaign. Yeah.
Used bookstores often have small DVD selections as well.
Yeah.
So, having a physical media release can only be a net good in the end when you're having a big title like this. It's not any sillier than putting in the Curious Case of Benjamin Button in as soon as they could.
Well, but that's a David Fincher movie, and that was a Best Picture nominee.
And
K-pop
this movie
Demon
is likely to win the animated feature Oscar.
Okay,
especially
no.
It's been a rough year for the.
Jeez,
industry
no. We had
category,
Zootopia.
yeah.
We had Zootopia 2. That has to be better than K-pop Demon Hunters. Despite I was kicking and screaming as you put on the honest trailer for that. I'm sorry, I have my own feelings about the voice cast. This is why I further appreciate Wish, is that it had voice actors.
No, a lot of those performers weren't professional voice actors.
Well, but they weren't people
Harley Delane, he's from Our Flag Means Death.
Yeah, but I'm sorry I'm not as HBO Max cool as most people, I suppose. I get I get stoned after watching my Game of Thrones, my last week's Tonight's, Have I Got Something for You, and yes, as I'm stoned, I'm watching True Blood and other trashy stuff like Robot Chicken. So no, I did not watch Our Flag Means Death, and I love a bunch of the comedians that are on that, but I knew them more from At Midnight than I ever thought, oh, Our Flag Means Death. So
You also have to remember with the animated feature category this year, and other categories too, it's become a rule that I don't know how they confirm this, but you will have to have seen all 5 nominees in a category if you're going to vote in it.
yeah, I don't know how they're going to.
This could change things for a lot of categories, to be honest. 'Cause
well,
common accusation as to why Disney and Pixar had a near lock on animated feature for so long was because people would just scribble in whatever their grandkids watched or whatever was the best known title in the bunch. Didn't necessarily pay attention to it themselves.
Well, but how often did it really end up going wrong aside from Shrek's domination?
Well, it depends. But you look at how this even just getting a nomination in this category for so long often was rewarding American studios more than international outfits. There have only been 2 anime films to win in the category, and they were both Hayao Miyazaki films.
And Flo, is that?
And Flo won last
Yeah.
year, and that was a case where people were complaining that it beat The Wild Robot.
Well, yeah, that was I guess kind of tough, but I honestly can like the fact that I mean, they were both very artistic things, but Flo definitely had more of an original vibe to it. Experimental, dare I say. Maybe it won't age as well, but that's what we have Criterion for. As I was looking through this, so needless to say, I'm gonna have to watch Fantastic Planet, I believe.
Yes.
I bought the Blu-ray a long time ago. I just never gotten around to watching it. So I can at least attach a movie review to this just in case the Poetic Critic is not enough to drive you to the podcast. But I guess my thing is that it's a 2-star movie at best. It misses the mark in the end.
For you it does.
Look,
This is a movie that has genuinely made millions of people happy.
Yes, so did the Minecraft movie.
Yes.
And look, I like Nacho Libre. I could give 2 shits about Napoleon Dynamite. I never got that. So I'm just saying, like, we were going on last time about, like, if it's a good movie for a certain audience, if it's really a good movie, it'll transcend, i.e. how we were saying exploitation is something that should probably be focused on again. Like, the vibe Sinners had of being so black. Never mind, and it kind of is exploitation in a sense. You can't say, when you go to the Dave Chappelle, I'd like to end every sketch by killing a slave master ending, and make it look beautiful. But I'm just saying, if it was good, I think I would have appreciated it. I have more respect for Twilight than I do K-pop Demon Hunters. Twilight at least hit its mark. I know it was, that's like and I hated so I have more respect for Twilight than I do K-pop Demon Hunters. I like K-pop Demon Hunters more than Twilight, though. If that makes any sense. What was I watching earlier? I think, never mind. I was doing a lot of research for my a pod that just is on hold right now with Andrew, TD. But I saw something where I was watching Tank Girl and saw Catherine Hardwicke's involvement in that. So, hey, Tank, well, I mean, that's not the legacy I want for Tank Girl, but, so it's just basically, and you brought up, like, I said my statement, I'm not a time capsule guy, per se. You argued, well, what about the Jazz King? And as I say,
King of Jazz.
King of Jazz.
He's got the titles right.
Yeah, you can look. I'm just going free, taking what I have. King of Jazz, color pre-code, that sells itself in a sense. Valley of the Dolls. Sharon Tate was kind of got her career cut short. And 50s horror movies. You can talk to any monster maker. They definitely got the vibes from those films.
Not those films in particular, I reckon.
Well, I don't know.
I've seen most of the films in that set. Okay. They're not very good.
Well, yeah, but look, no offense, Lynette Eglund, who I got to share a panel with at Indiana Comic Convention. She got some things from it, believe me.
You have to also understand that so much of the stuff in the Criterion Collection really does divide people at least as much as K-pop Demon Hunters does.
Does it, though? Like, I go through the Criterion Collection.
You watched it last year at Marion Baden. Then you speak up about it and see how many responses you get.
Look, all I'm saying is that K-pop Demon Hunter is not going to, like, I don't know if K-pop Demon Hunters 2 is going to work out because there's going to be such a break between movies. What, that's 2029, I believe?
Yeah, but that's actually a shorter turnaround time than the Frozen sequel had.
But Frozen's got the Disney brand on it, while K-pop Demon Hunters is solely relying on K-pop fans. I don't know if it's going to be that. As I say, it's a passing fad. So if it was going to be put in the Criterion Collection, say 10 years from now, maybe I could see a better argument for it. But when I'm saying like time capsule stuff, it's like me arguing for Chris Benoit in the WWE Hall of Fame. Because one, I blame WWE for the incident because they could have stopped having him do bump on his head.
K-pop Demon Hunters didn't kill anybody, though. This is kind of a weird area we're getting into here.
I'm sure we're going to have plenty of traffic accidents with little girls. Like, again, Robot Chicken, when the dad tried putting Bob Dylan on and all the kids eventually try to kill themselves or sell their bodies to get away from it. There's going to be chaos. No, but what I'm saying is that Chris Benoit was an artist in the ring and inspired so many with his stuff. And as I say, WWE not putting the safety rails on when they had the monopoly in 2001 versus 2008 when Benoit goes and kills his family, like CTE and all that stuff. That's why I'm saying, like, it's like, dare I say, we need to recognize G.W. Griffin and Lenny Riefenstahl for their abilities.
Not necessarily.
Well,
G.W. Griffith in particular is quite overrated in that regard.
His overall impact, though, he gave us the studio system in a sense. Wasn't he part of United Artists?
Sure, but a lot of other people were there who weren't quite as problematic.
You look at Charlie Chaplin.
I realize that.
I mean, have we found him in the reports yet? That was funny. Somebody said Elvis Presley, not in the Epstein files. Priscilla was 14 when he was 24. Not even Tennessee would let that fly today.
Ross, it is ridiculous that you are this passionate about arguing against a fun movie like K-pop Demon Hunters getting its day in the sun in a way that will probably help finance another 10 years the World Cinema Project. Just because you personally did not like the picture.
And then I don't think it's going to have any lasting impact.
Well, people thought the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were going to be a passing fad. They're still with us.
Right. And personally, I thought the Henson movies, they should have kept moving on with those. I don't think the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 is as bad as they say. And I'm sorry to associate the word Henson when I brought up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. But they... I mean, compare, where is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, what was it, Mutant Mayhem? Mm-hmm. Where's their Oscar if K-pop's going to get an Oscar?
Well, it came out in the same year as The Boy and the Heron, so, sometimes you don't come out in the right year.
Let's see. Yeah, I guess that's still weird. It's too early to expect to... Dang it, Ninja Turtles, your computer sprites. That's another thing I get frustrated about when they say, oh, the turnaround time, that's really fast. 4 years. It's like, you have the files in your computer. How did we get so many Shrek specials, Toy Story specials? I'm sorry, those aren't 4-year affairs. It's... pull up the hard drive, plug it in, move your sprites. It's simpler than AI in a lot of ways. So, yeah, I guess it's just... I mean, if you can't... it's just Criterion, man. I mean, I would... K-pop Demon Hunters honestly sounds like something that should be on the Vinegar Syndrome lineup.
See, it's one of the great underdog stories is that a movie with as blatantly obvious a title as K-pop Demon Hunters turns out to be a legitimate cultural phenomenon.
Not only should it be the Turtles Oscar, it should be Tammy and the T-Rex's time, man. But, yeah, I guess it's so we've gotten a little wish war in here. We got a little K-pop disagreement. And, we've brought up the Oscars. Is it pretty much all foregone by this point?
I haven't really been paying attention to the Oscar race, and none of my friends have really been concerned too much with it either.
Well, I don't know.
We'll see what happens.
I think a lot of us don't want the heartbreak of Ryan Coogler getting shut out in a lot of ways. I mean, one battle after another is kind of the... And I'm sure it's far better than The Departed, but it's kind of P.T. Anderson's, okay, you outlasted the rest of us, Oscar. And it's so easy to just go the Jordan Peele route and just give Coogler the best original screenplay. It's got a lot of Barbie, Oppenheimer vibes. That was my big problem with that Oscar, was I did not want, okay, yeah, Robert Downey Jr., I guess, but come on, Cillian Murphy, well, no, actually, there were so many, there probably were better performances and such, and Barbie deserved a lot more love, I think. But, I digress. So, otherwise, next weekend, B-Fest.
Yes.
So, we... Breaking news. The B-Fest 2026 lineup has not been released yet. More news in the later.
I do have, by way of some of the people I communicate with on Blue Sky, I have some theories about what's getting in there, but I can't say anything for sure.
Yeah, it's I'm sorry, like, you have to get this stuff, like, especially when I'm told I can't pick my movie to sponsor. And who knows, they still haven't asked me for my payment to sponsor Plan 9 and The Wizard of Speed and Time. It's like, I would not have gone to my first B-Fest if it wasn't announced 3 weeks, a month prior, that Showdown in Little Tokyo was going to be on the lineup. I had to see that one in the big screen. So, and now we're here. I didn't care. Well, no, I think I even did keep in mind what the 2023 lineup was. That was my second B-Fest. You didn't attend till 2024, correct?
Right.
Okay, so, yeah, I mean, you know, if it wasn't for the, you know, trying to get the name of the podcast out there and, you know, going blind is something I would not want to do otherwise. I don't know. I am not an internet nerd community guy. I'm very little community guy myself. I'm accidentally a trivia guy. So, yes, ladies, I'm single. Thus, it's a, but I know, as I say, the community element of it's really what you're there for. Have you ever ate at the local Portillo's?
One in Peoria.
Yeah.
No.
If you like, we'll end up eating at the one I believe officially in Niles, Illinois. After the show. So, I don't know. I gotta really do the math and see if we can go and do the hotel thing and then show up at the right time instead of trying to hold tables. So that's but you said you have theories.
I'm not going to share them. I don't think that would be fair.
Aww.
I don't want to raise anybody's hopes.
But this is what amateur reporting is all about: raising hopes and hoping and seeing and apologizing later.
I'm just looking forward to first having this coming weekend off, and then I'll have next weekend off for B-Fest.
Yeah, I did not know how you pulled that one off.
No, it's just how the work schedule has been playing out lately. It worked in its favor. It would be nice if... I know that the guys on Thursday often do stuff in Chicago land, and I don't have that day free, so I had to gently decline the offer.
Okay, yeah. No,
Because I know you'd be working then, too.
Well, no, I you say that. Let's go back to the GalaxyCon bonus episode, GalaxyCon, one where I discussed the documentary about Megaforce, and me going on my rant about losing my job just before I left for that trip from a certain corporation based in Niles, Illinois. This is why I have the LLC, so, you know, no, can't sue me, sue the business. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be so no, I'm coming in. Actually, I have my dentist appointment on Thursday.
Oh.
So I'll be in town anyhow. Yep. So sorry for the shrug emoji trivia team. I won't be there next week. So otherwise, I guess the only other thing we can bring up is hoppers. I am intrigued. Maybe Wish and all those little dancing chickens got me into a more of a party animal mood.
No, I'm just not feeling that. I haven't felt much about Pixar in a while. There was some talk about that on Blue Sky with, like, Casey Gifford, gal who's worked in the industry, production design and stuff, saying that she doesn't really feel a particular affinity for Pixar anymore. And she brought up a point that even some of the older Pixar films, you know, don't seem to have the warm fan bases that stuff as goofy as Shrek and some of the other early DreamWorks films seem to do at this point in terms of fan bases.
Okay. I don't really want to go into early DreamWorks fan bases, I suppose. I mean, there's going to be, I'm sure there's love for the one about Exodus.
The Prince of Egypt.
Thank you. And, but the ones that I was most intrigued by were the definite Disney ripoffs in terms of looking like, dare I say, the Hercules style.
I don't know.
Like Road to El Dorado. Those were the appearance of that gave me Disney vibes.
Yeah.
And then I'm just trying to come up with, well, it wasn't totally Disney, like it wasn't traditional Disney. That's what I'm trying to get at there. Honestly, early 2000s animation, I think those fandoms are kind of just people wanting to remember, oh no, we had great stuff then, despite we didn't go and see it. Like Treasure Planet, I thought was really good. Titan AE, not too bad. Atlantis, the only one I can really poop on, or I should say Triumph can poop on, is Home on the Range. And honestly, I think we're fonder of that than Chicken Little. Like, Disney getting into the 3D, to the computer generated, I still think was a bad move. But, as I said, it ends up being cheaper in the long run. So, or it should end up being cheaper in the long run. I think we got Paramount accounting going on a lot.
I'm just not interested in general, I'm not interested in animated features, in most cases, that are just characters screaming at each other for comedy purposes for at least 50% of the film.
Well,
Pushing in, pulling out the camera, pushing in the camera, that sort of thing.
Well, I don't know. I will say
Pixar seems to do a lot of that lately.
Well, I think a lot of it is I honestly got to catch up on a lot of Pixar. I wanted to see Luca. I wasn't really overly impressed by the idea of the Onward, but I gotta watch Soul still. Those don't sound like they're gonna have a bunch of pushing the camera and pushing it out. And I guess that's another issue maybe I have with animation is that now with computers again, you can go and do the Spielberg zoom, eyeball zoom shots. Like, no, I like my animation flat. Like, I don't see comic like you get some cool images in comic books and graphic novels, but if I'm reading the funny pages, I don't want to see a zoom shot of Snoopy's eyeballs. To see Charlie Brown's eye pupils dilate when he realizes he's not kicking the football. See, that's just disturbing stuff, which I guess I am siding with you. No, we don't need all the zooming in, zooming out stuff. But I think DreamWorks and Illumination kind of their success, I think, is unfortunately leading to emulation by Disney.
Well, I've been suspecting that too. The thing about Illumination that I don't follow their films particularly closely either, but I have to give them respect for simply understanding that kids just want simple slapstick sometimes.
Yeah,
they've been filling in this otherwise empty niche for well over a decade now by just doing dumb comedies like the Despicable Me films and the Minions films, and just doing very straightforward comedies that don't ladle on the syrup the way I think Pixar has become a problem for Pixar over time. Well, every kid generation gravitates towards dumb slapstick. And it travels well internationally on top of that. We've had our Three Stooges and our Abbott and Costellos and our Laurel and Hardys and our Ernest P. Worrells, and we have the Minions to fill that void.
Hey, with Ernest P. Worrell, And it was a stupid, I think it may have been a Watch Mojo video. Movies we're not going to be able to see. No, I think it was a giant freaking robot. Where they're saying, yeah, Ernest Goes to Camp is canceled. Like, just because of the Italian guy.
Oh.
Like, yeah, but that's an iconic commercial. You know, they... well, I don't know, like... Abbott, Costello, the Three Stooges, they felt a lot smarter in a way, or maybe because they were typically taking on the man in a lot of ways.
So did Ernest sometimes.
Yeah, well, no. Ernest, I think Ernest was good because I think adults just related to what Ernest is going through. And we all have that guy. Like, he's the fun uncle at Thanksgiving. The one doing stupid stuff, not the one talking racist bullshit. So I think Ernest is easy to get behind. I think my problem with when you say, "Oh, slapstick," sorry, I was raised on Warner Brothers, and this is brought up on Chris Hardwick's "I Think You're Overthinking It" podcast, as he's talking with fellow parents about what they can show their kids, and it's like, okay, well, I want to start showing my kid the Looney Tunes cartoons. All right, as long as you don't show have anything where it's excessively violent. That's what Looney... I want my extreme violence, I suppose, is what I'm saying. Like, that's a big problem now with Minions and such. Like, oh, maybe one of them gets turned into a mutant. I'm sorry, I can only say that a few of them do. I think in the third or fourth one, I can only say that as I'm working the front desk at my retail electronics store job, and keep seeing the demos replay over and over again. I guess I'm glad that it's Superman right now in those demos on the Samsung TVs instead of Minions 4, because I take note of what's happening in Minions 4. Superman fighting a kaiju, you can't keep track of that. It's just nice noise, visual noise. I guess we were going back to Pixar when you were saying that Pixar movies are not for kids today.
Yeah. As the B.O. boys put it, they're for really maudlin middle-aged men, is what people want. That was the Pixar target audience at this point.
Does B.O. stand for box office or body odor?
Box
I'm just...
They definitely don't sound like they smelled all that great, to be honest.
Oh, gee, okay. You shot the fire. I was just making a cheap joke.
Well, I don't know why they would just call it B.O. boys, would you? They do sound like a pair of bros, though, is what I mean.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they're kind of a bro podcast.
Oh.
Not in the worst way, but...
Right, I know. And, I mean, hell, I was gonna have Andrew TD on so we can talk about the best bros in cinema. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, but I guess... Yeah, I am middle-aged. Like, even though... Like, I would say, going back to Aladdin, yeah, and the entire idea of what Robin Williams was doing as the genie. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I knew Robin Williams as Mork from Ork. Enjoyed it enough, his performance enough. Probably knew him better for his stand-up. Mm-hmm. Actually. And Lord knows I did not see The Fisher King or Dead Poet Society, and wish I never saw Dead Poet Society, if you want maudlin crap. But we knew what, you know, Robin Williams, this is the first time you could say, well, Little Mermaid was smart, and you could say same thing with Great Mouse Detective. About any, I mean, as they were going into the Renaissance, they were getting like, oh, we better make sure the parents are at least going to get amused by something.
Can I hear a wahoo?
Once again, thanks for checking out I Dig Crazy Flicks with Cat Bus Russ. If you want to help the podcast out, there are many ways to do so. First off, rate and subscribe on your favorite podcast apps. 5-star reviews preferably. Be as honest as you'd like in the comments. I will learn from them and become a better podcaster thanks to them. You may also subscribe to the I Dig Crazy Flicks Patreon. That's patreon.com/I Dig Crazy Flicks. Right now, we're just looking for $3 a month. With those $3, you get access to the original 90forchill.com, the podcast feed, so you can listen and observe how I've become a better podcaster since 2021. I will also send you out a waterproof sticker with the I Dig Crazy Flicks logo or the I Dig Crazy Flicks VHS refrigerator magnet. I use them to help to promote my podcast at my job, be it my locker or my water bottle, and you will get yourself a shout out on each episode as long as you're subscribed. So thank you, Dad. Thank you, AAW backstage personality, The Scoop Staley. Definitely underappreciated there, but fully appreciated here. And thank you, Tim Bates. You can find him on I Dig Crazy Flicks. He's on episodes about 1989's Bloodsport in Space, Arena, and the 1988 horror comedy classic, Night of the Demons. But the best way to help I Dig Crazy Flicks out is come on and be a guest on the show. If you have a movie, a director, an actor, a theme, as long as the topic is off the wall, bonkers, not in touch with reality, I'll happily chat that subject up. But if you have something a little more down to earth, say an independent film from Richard Linklater or Kevin Smith, as long as it's between 70 and 100 minutes, not including the credits, I will happily give you 40 minutes on Zoom. To do that, all you need to do is send an email to russthebus07@gmail.com. That's RUSSTHEBUS07@gmail.com with your suggestion. Or you can follow me on my social medias. That's at CatBusRuss on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads. Before I go, I want to thank Station Marie Harden for keeping an eye on me, keeping me out of too much trouble. And I hope she's doing the same for everybody else she touched in her life. And I hope she's squeezing the ectoplasm out of the most jellicle of kitties, Skimbleshanks the one-eared angel. And when it comes to my Patreon, if you're not going to do it for me, do it for Ava the Queen Kitty. She's royalty. That's 3 tins of cat food for her. We get enough people, she is fed for life. Once again, thanks for checking out I Dig Crazy Flicks, and have yourself a good week.
Long live Flash! You've saved your ass! Have a nice day!
This podcast was made possible by the love and support of Dave and Cindy Stevens, Rory Stevens and Allison Higgins, Danny Daniels, and Stephanie Smith.